Yes, sir. There are plenty of smart other guys. Don't misunderstand me. Yes, sir.
A lot of the challenge I'm finding for a lot of people in the program is the concept of optimal versus mediocre.
Right.
So in encouraging people to go the optimum route,
Yep.
what are some of the negative effects of moderate use of the program as opposed to optimal?
Well, here's another. By the way, this is a San Francisco artist, the guy that did this. Now we're now in that articulated little peanut, okay? And we're now looking at some of those over infolded things. Carbon dioxide and water out here. Yeah, I'm not ignoring you. I just, whoa, look, we got 30 ATP molecules. Remember, all the biology depends on that ATP, adenosine triphosphate, finally has to pass through that energy pathway. That's 30 of those for each molecule of glucose. And that doesn't mean you need to eat glucose, by the way. Don't get confused, and I'll tie into his answer, or his question. Oh, it's not, well, that's right. Actually, I don't know if, well, I guess it will. I've never tried this. Well, let me try this. Won't this go to, can I do it one way or another? One way or another.
There's a hot link at the bottom left called full screen.
Oh, I see. Yeah, but that's for the image. That won't. Will that drive my browser? See, it doesn't drive my browser. I was trying to fix the browser. See, you didn't know what you thought you did, doggone you. Phil is always keeping me on track. And ridiculing me while he's at it, by the way. Now, I'll tell you what, some of the mitochondrial diseases, now we're down in the, picometer and less. The intermitochondrial bilayer is rich in phospholipids. Woo! Fats with some phosphorus hanging on them. And that has to do with how it keeps water on the inside and fat on the outside and vice versa. The ability of this, one of the other things this does is it keeps a charge. Mitochondria are little tiny batteries. Cells are little tiny batteries. And the better these little batteries work, the better the healthier you are. And these phospholipids, which keep a charge, are part of what keeps the charge across there. The charge across that membrane is one of the ways we measure how healthy the mitochondria are. So to get to your now look, this is your molar here. No, I guess it's not your molar, but these are structures inside this membrane, and these structures are these little nanomachines. These are part of the things that help pump things in and out. Ooh, look at those high energy electrons. And it turns out that one of the things that happens back there a step across there is moving electrons on the outside of the membrane. And anyway, isn't this cool? I mean, isn't that just neat? Oh, I think I've gone over the edge. I want to answer his question. and here's why. By the time, all right, remember the ANACAP map. I told you your gun is loaded with your genetics. By the time you're 30, you've already pulled the trigger. You've pulled the trigger. So you're already well on your way. You are way down the road, can't even see the starting gate, to diabetes, to coronary artery disease, to etc. And depending on how obstinate, if I can use that as a medical term, obstinate your biology is, doing half the program doesn't get you half the results. It sometimes doesn't do anything but just get you worse slower. Unless you've actually physically moved on this map, Everlasting Man, Achilles, Michelin Man, Whistler's mother and father. Unless you've gone here, if you've gone here, that's great. Congratulations. I sort of done the diet, and I've sort of worked out, and I've sort of this, and I've sort of that, and You literally have to begin to make fundamental changes for all of these numbers to move in the right direction. And the problem is, you know, getting skinny is not the same thing as getting better on the handicap map. And becoming a better jogger isn't the same thing as getting better on the handicap map. And what we call body parts and bodybuilding is not necessarily getting better on the handicap map. And movement on the handicap map is what it takes to make these fundamental changes in your VO2 max, your HDL2B, your free testosterone, your ventilatory exchange, your LDL substructure, your even homocysteine. Homocysteine, what a lot of people have heard of, which is related to B vitamins and B vitamin uptake and is extremely biologically variable, actually is also not only dietary related, it's exercise related. As your exercise improves, your capacity to utilize B vitamins improves. One of the things I didn't emphasize is, yes, that's the exercise energy management systems axis, and yes, that's the dietary energy management systems axis, but they're all some of each. For example, one of the reasons the mitochondria don't work, that if you are in insulin resistance, not diabetic, just have higher than normal insulin, what we know is this cytoplasm is all full of free fatty acids. The free fatty acids is not because you ate fat, by the way, but because you had too much insulin. Insulin is necessary for intake of free fatty acids and glucose, and because you've taken in too many free fatty acids and glucose, the mitochondria don't work. The mitochondria don't work, your VO2 gets worse. So you can eat wrong and affect your VO2 very, very profoundly. So they're both connected, but there's some that's dominantly one. For example, HDL2B is dominantly exercise-related metabolic change in the muscles and the liver to some extent, which is also an exercise. I mean, the liver gets exercise. Whereas LDL particle size, function of insulin and triglycerides, is largely diet. So there's a spectrum. But does that make sense? So it doesn't require perfection, but it does require important attention to the restoration of fundamental rhythms so that all the signaling molecules will move you better on the handicap map.